Hi, it's Mike again doing a new scratchpad video. This is about a new keyboard that I'm evaluating. I think I'm going to keep it. It's pretty cool. It's the new Fantom by Roland. It'll replace the workhorse Yamaha that's been in a rack for 10 years or so. And I just wanted to put it into Ableton Live and record the steps of what I did so that I can remember in 6 months, and this might help others. So here we have a plain vanilla Ableton Live set. We've got a keyboard that we can play. I play the keyboard. You can see it's playing there. I'm not recording it from this monitor because what I'm going to do right away is turn that off, because that's probably the way you've got it set up right now. It's plugged into the audio interface. In my case, this is the interface into it, and I can play the keys and the notes come out, and that's fine, but that's not what I want to do now. I want to go into Ableton. So I'm going to turn it off so that I'm not fooled when I'm hearing the sounds. I did a whole bunch of stuff thinking, oh, this is going great. And then I realized I wasn't listening to Ableton. I was listening to the audio interface. So there's my first tip. And the second tip is if I look in my little MIDI Monitor app. If you haven't got this is a free app for Mac that is absolutely terrific. Get rid of those, and you'll see up here that right now it can't see the Fantom. Because again, I just did a system reset on the Fantom, so the Fantom is now the way it came from the factory. And when it comes from the factory, it's not visible to my computer. So this is the first step, is we need to get into the old system menu like this. This is my highly sophisticated video technique. These are just phone shots of my Fantom screen. So I'm in the system menus. I'm in general, and I'm turning one notch down to the USB driver, and it says generic on my screen. And I don't want that. I want what's on your screen, which is vendor. So if you haven't installed the USB driver, stop here, go off and learn how to do that. None of this happens without that. Welcome back if you just did it. So I'm writing it off to the thingy, and I don't know if it just appears. Probably not. I think I have to reboot. I'll come back when it appears on the screen. There it is. There's our Fantom. Now I have to turn these on in this, or it won't listen to them. Still not making notes. Well, we'll get to that in a bit. The other thing we want to do is get some audio into this thing. Let's see if we can get some audio out of the Fantom. If I look here in the external interface, I better see where I'm listening. Aha! Next step, I got to listen to the Fantom. Right now I'm listening to my audio interface. That's no good. Where's that Fantom? There's the Fantom. Okay, 32 in, 16 out. So that's pretty cool. Let's check our configuration. Oh, I've already done that. I've turned on the first 16. No way I'm using more than that, I don't think. Maybe someday, but not today. anyway, that's okay. Gotta have that. Ooh, blinky lights. See the blinky lights? Phantom 1 and 2 are on the air. Let's see if we can see other stuff. Oh, and 3 and 4. That's good. But I'm not hearing anything. How come? Oh, I have to monitor the input, I bet. Da da da. Da da da. Okay. So step 1 is complete. We have audio getting to the Ableton app, and we can hear it. There you go. This is that standard number 1 A1 patch. All those pads on the back, so that's the way you ought to hear it. Okay, so now that we've got MIDI working and we've got audio working, one of the things that is interesting, I want you to listen to this, listening to channels 1 and 2. Got piano and pads. What's going on 3 and 4? Ah, there are the pads. But wait, what if I don't want to mix? If sometimes I'm going to just use channels 1 and 2, it'll be the mix that's coming out of the Fantom. That'll be fine. But in this case, I want to be able to mix the Fantom channels separately later. I want to capture them in Ableton at a rough mix, but I want to be able to do a fine mix. And having it all mixed on channels 1 and 2 like that, how do I untangle that? Well, that's another trip off to the system menu. And in this case, what we need to do is get into USB and take a look at USB audio, because right now, I bet if you look at yours, let me look at mine. I go into System, I go down to USB, and it says USB audio mix parallel, and mine says mix. And where I want to get is what you see on your screen. I want it to be parallel. I'm going to change that and write it. Now let's see what happened. I play 1 and 2. I get a piano. If I get 3 and 4, I get a pad. That's more like it. So, got to throw on another audio track so that I can get. Oops, that's a MIDI track. I don't want a MIDI track. Get out of. Oh, there it is. I put it in the wrong place. There. Okay, so external 1, 2, 3, 4. Set it to input. Aha, we're back to now a mixable split between the two instruments in that patch. And of course, if there are more, then you have to have more of those. So now, that's good. Step 2 completed. Now we got to get to the place where capture some MIDI. Because what I want, right now, I'm not seeing any MIDI happening. You can't see the indicator in the corner because I've cut off the corner. But if we look at the instruments, all channels, no MIDI. Where's the MIDI? Well, the first thing we should try and do is whenever you're puzzling about MIDI, it's a good idea to look at the old MIDI Monitor instead of Ableton, because Ableton may or may not be looking in the right place, etc. Whereas the MIDI Monitor tells all. And in the standard patch, it's not putting out any MIDI. Well, here's one thing. If you change your button layout like this, so that you set, say, channel 1 to being an external instrument. Let's see what happens if we do that. Shift, hit the button. Aha! Now channel 1 is sending MIDI out to Ableton, and Ableton can see it, just like that. But wait, what happened to my audio? My pad is still there because I've made number 1 an external instrument and not number 2. If I turn number 2 into an external instrument by pushing another button, which I don't have a screenshot of, plenty of MIDI, both channels, channel 1 and channel 2, but no audio. Well, that's not any good, because what I want to do is I want to record MIDI and play the MIDI back at mix time as well. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. And what's going on with that is local sound, which I bet on your settings, way down at the bottom. It's way at the bottom of the list on the left. Is where you'll find that sound thing. And I'll bet your local switch is on, which means that when an instrument is local, i.e. red, so just to get the terminology straight, the red instrument is number 2, and the green instrument is number 1. Number 1 is now configured as an external instrument on my keyboard, and number 2 is red, local. We have to turn when it's local like that, the MIDI doesn't escape the channel. It just goes straight out of it stays within the Phantom. It goes out of the keyboard and into the sound generator and never gets out to the outside world. We need to interrupt that. We need to turn that off. So that's what I'm going to do. Turn it off. Write it. Okay, now we have one more step in the ingredients. Before we can do all this cool stuff, note that this MIDI channel right now isn't really a MIDI channel all by itself. It's a MIDI channel on top, but it's an audio channel on the bottom. And normally there's an instrument in here, which you can't, I don't have one on this because this is my default patch, so all that's on there is a utility. I got to get rid of that. I got to turn this rascal into a MIDI channel, only MIDI in and MIDI out. Now, where do I send the MIDI? I send it back to the Phantom. So it's going to come from the Phantom. It's going to come from one channel. It's going to go back to the Phantom on the same channel. I'm going to monitor input. Okay, so channel 1, our piano channel, is now set to green. It's set like this. It's sending MIDI to here. The MIDI is being sent back to the Phantom. As you can see from our friend So we're getting note on, note off from the Fantom. This isn't set to show what's being sent, but you can indeed spy on the destinations to others, just to show you what this rascal can do. That's pretty useful. I missed. There we go. Turn those rascals off. So now we can see the to and from happening. See how handy this gizmo is? This is great for diagnostic stuff like this. So to give you one note, there's the note from the Fantom back to the Fantom. There's the note off. Okay. Sound is coming out. That's good. Now all we have to do is rinse and repeat on this channel. Get rid of the utility so that it's not a combined audio MIDI channel, but just a MIDI channel. Going to send to channel 2 this time. Going to receive from channel 2. This will come in handy in a subsequent video where we start mapping things like faders to. Still don't have our sound. That's because we're not monitoring input. No. Because we're not sending MIDI on channel 2. And why is that? Oh, because here's the way my keyboard looks. It looks like that. No good, Nick. Got to switch it to being an external instrument. Ta-da! Okay, so I think that's it for this first little video. This kind of gets the basics working for you. And I think that's enough for now. So we'll return with subsequent slightly more advanced stuff, but this ought to at least get your feet wet, and you can certainly, this can scale up. You can do a lot more channels, etc., but this ought to get you going. I hope it was useful, and with that, the end.